Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Friday Reads Live with me and Mr. ShawnDStandfast. Apologies for the slightly delayed start due to a little bit of technical, gremlins, shall we say? Because we don't know what happened, do we? You just froze.
Yeah.
I worried if it was me, but some of the usual suspects are here, and an old friend seems to have returned to the foray. Hello there, Jenny, and
Hi, Jenny.
hey, Aaron. Good to see you.
Hi, Aaron.
And Cheryl, hello there, Cheryl. Nice to see
Uh,
you as well. Nice to see you as well. So, it's going to be a strange Friday read, Sean, because I'm guessing you probably haven't read that much because it's been quite a stressful and
no, I haven't.
difficult week for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, I haven't really read much at all. I've been, the last several days since I found out. Even before that, it's this heat. It's like it's cooler than it was a week ago, but there's no sun, and it's like breathing underwater. It's just the humidity is just horrible.
I'm just wondering if we're going to win a prize for the most people called Aaron in a single chat. So, hello, Aaron, and
Hello,
hello,
Aaron. Aaron.
So yeah, there we go. 3 Aarons of some variety or other. It's got to be some kind of record. Yeah, no, I can only imagine. You know, I'm stressed out about it myself. I mean, my own situation, and it's like planned, and it's a long way away, and I'm looking around my flat every day I get home, thinking, Jesus, how much crap have I accumulated in 10 years, and I've got to move it. And I plan to spend the summer. So at least in this way, Sean, we are going to be kind of doing the same thing, because I am spending this summer, because I don't know exactly when I'm moving, right? So I have to use the time that I've got, the 2 months I've got off now, even if it's like next May, to actually organize myself, because I can't be in a last minute situation. So we will kind of be doing the same thing in the summer, though. In my instance, I suppose the pressure will be off a little bit, somewhat. So
Yeah, well, it was a surprise, but I can't do anything about it, so just try to do the best I can. And the outpouring of support has been just it's floored me, because I now can get at least stuff into storage probably by the end of July. And also, too, anybody in the UK that wants to come to help me pack over, probably not next week, because next week I'm dealing with getting the unit, and also trying to call the council, the local government authority here in Bedford. And I thought of doing it today, but this is Friday, and I used to work in the council computer department answering the phone, and nobody takes calls on Fridays.
Well, I have to say, I'm not too surprised over the show's support. I mean, it is a very nice community, and I think people do tend to rally around. I mean, I was surprised by some of the just kindnesses that you mentioned to me privately about people who do live in the UK, who are willing to drive or come quite a distance to help out, and that is really nice, definitely. Aaron saying, there's 25% of the chat are Aaron's. And Roy's here. Hi, Roy. Good to see you.
Hi, Roy.
And yes, of course, if one is feeling so inclined and is aware of Sean's situation, he does have a GoFundMe, and it is linked in the video description if anyone fancies helping out who hasn't already, or if they want to help out again, who knows. I was very disappointed, though, Sean, I have to say, when, I think I told you that I got a dislike on that video I did. And what upsets me about that is that there's somebody either cold-hearted enough or sad enough to, dislike a video which is inoffensive and just trying to be nice,
Well, it must be the same person, because the same day, this morning, I guess, I got the dislike on that video as well. So
yeah.
And there is someone out there I know that pretty well dislikes it, like almost every video I do. So it's like, are they sitting there, waiting for my videos to come up? Are they actually subscribed to me? And then dislike is just, that is just bizarre, how that happens.
Well, it might be our old friend who sent that email. You never know.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah, forget them. That's all the negativity, and there's so much more positivity, and of course that's the important thing when all is said and done. So
But yeah, anybody, I just wanted to sort of reiterate, anybody in the UK, because I'm working with my landlord here. It's because there's only 3 of us now in the, well, actually there's 4, but that she's going to be leaving, so there'll be 2 empty rooms downstairs. And what I'm trying to do is using that to put the full boxes in for somewhere around second half of July to move it into storage. But also too, it means that these are rooms with beds that if anybody, wants to come and stay for a night, or an extra day, then can easily, or that's provided he'll do it, but he seems to be amenable to it at this point. They can stay for a night or 2. And also too, it's like, I've got lots of books, and there's no shortage of me, passing on a few books. I can't say everything, but while you're packing, if you find something that you really want, then there are going to be things that will be no, but for the most part, a lot of it will be up for grabs.
Right. Well, I'm going to have to infiltrate one of the people going up there and give them 1 or 2 items I know I definitely want.
Yeah, but probably the ones you want, I don't want to part with. It's like,
yeah, well,
because
exactly right.
There's going to be certain things that will be a no, but there's not that, it's not going to be every single one. It's sort of like, so I just sort of remember going into a bookstore in Toronto in the 80s where it says 50% off all stock, except here, and here, and it's like a little area that's 50% off.
But I think it's good to iterate that the reasons aren't monetary, though, are they? I mean, it's not like it's necessarily that you're afraid to part with a valuable book. It's either sentimental or it's got some reason or whatever,
yes.
or just availability, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't have too many valuable books, as we were talking before, like privately. It's like, I call myself a collector, but you hear people say, I'm not a collector because I don't collect for money. Well, you don't need to collect for money. I don't really buy books for money. Like when I was selling books, yeah, you buy something because you can resell it for this. But I buy books because I'm interested in it. And a lot of the stuff isn't worth that much. I've got rare books. I've got books that are rare, but they're worthless. I've got a few things that are worth some money, but generally those things I have paid, that for them. I never got them cheap. So yeah, it's like I would say 99.9%. Like I've got approximately 5,000 books. I would say I wouldn't even have 100 books that. No, actually anything that's worth any money, I probably have less than books that I could count on my hand. Like I'm talking over 100 pounds.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, as I was saying to you earlier, maybe I should invite people to come and help me move next year sometime. Maybe I can give you beer, as it's cheaper.
That could be a cool thing to do because somebody could have a vacation there, help you out a little bit too.
And spend your holidays next year in the Czech Republic helping Mark move. Though, to be fair, I am obviously again in a luckier situation due to the fact that I work. And my colleagues are also now my dear friends. So I think most of them will help me. And I will probably use like the minivans from school and a couple of other friends. Because we live in this kind of area where a lot of people actually have vans. So it's not... Because that's what I was thinking when I was talking to you. I said, everybody knows someone who knows someone at least who's got a van. And then I was thinking, well, do I actually know anyone in the UK who's got a van? That's the problem. But let's go...
Where are you?
Sorry?
Yeah. I was just going to say, where I used to work, it's like, there was engineers that had, or not engineers, but technicians that had vans. They were company vans, but a lot of them had vans. But it's years since I worked there now. So, and I've lost touch with people, and everybody that I knew around, like for work and other places, have all moved pretty well, except one person, and they don't have a van. They've got a shoebox for a car.
Well, I mean, I am a bit jealous that you will, very likely meet up with some of our dear booktubers, as
Yeah.
well as maybe some subscribers as well, of course. But I came this close to meeting a fellow booktuber, and it should have been on Monday. I was supposed to meet Jack from Rambling Raconteur. If anyone follows him on Instagram, you can see some lovely pictures from Prague. But unfortunately, we got the times wrong, and I wasn't able to meet up with him. And he's so close. He was just 2.5 hours away. But that's 2.5 hours one way, 2.5 hours back, and it was the last week of school. We had a full program. I was able to get the Monday off to go to him, but then instead of arriving on Sunday, which he originally thought, he was arriving Monday, midday. And so it would have given us, I don't know, maybe an hour max to meet. And then, of course, would he and his wife really want to have just landed in Prague and then meet up with somebody? Probably not. So maybe next time. He seems to really enjoy it anyway. So Jenny's offering to hunt down the person responsible for the dislike. So that's good.
Yeah.
Aaron agrees that the punishment for disliking is to be the kind of person who dislikes things. Although setting an angry Scot on them is also good.
Yeah.
Jenny says not to worry, that he can be dropped. Well, I'm assuming it's a he, of course, but it could be a she. We could drop them in the Highlands and give them a head start. Daniel says hello, and hello back to you, Daniel. Geo Craftsman is here. There are so many books out there. As long as you buy books just because you don't have them yet, and maybe to potentially read them, it qualifies you as a collector in my mind. I completely agree.
Yeah, but people seem to think that's a bad word, and that it's like people will have like even a bookcase of books. It's like that's you're collecting. If you got more than 4, that's the beginning of the collection to me.
Yes, they did, Aaron. Absolutely. They said beer.
Yeah, but it's not good beer there, though. That's the problem.
What are you talking about? It's like one of the best beers going.
It's lager.
Yeah, okay, but it's the best lager going. Beer is how they trick you into the van. Yeah. I thought the rule was pizza for helping someone with. Well, Jenny, if you came all the way to the Czech Republic, you can definitely have a pizza if you want, but I'm sure there'll be other things. I mean, wouldn't you rather have a big slab of pork knuckle and some brown beer to wash it down with, or something like that? No.
I think I would, as much as I dislike lager, I would probably want the lager than the other thing that you're talking about. That just sounds so horrid.
Well, it's just like a leg of pork, yeah? like a roast. Like, what do you call it?
Yeah, but you said, well, it's just because people eat what pig's knuckles or something like that, or pig's hooves.
I said pork knuckle. I suppose it is, but they call it pig's knee here, and it's just a big slab of like meat with bone and crispy skin on it. It's just their beer. And I have to apologize to Summer, who's joining us, because she doesn't eat meat. Sorry. Hey, Summer.
But the thing is, like, people will come here, like, yeah, we'll have something, and then we can do some live streams, or on if it happens to be a Friday, we can all sit down and do it live.
I'm available any night, of course, for the next 2 months.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
This is it. I'm kicking back on the whole. Well, I'm not kicking back. I'm doing all the pre-packaging, packing, organizing I have to do. But yeah, I'm around for the next 2 months on summer holes. So but I'll be so jealous though when you've got like a little booktuber next to you, or a commenter or whatever, and I've got Elvis, of course, which is good, but nobody gets to see him very much. Although I have to say, he was attacked by a feral cat today, and they scratched his nose. So you can imagine the fun I had trying to put the iodine antiseptic cream on his little area there. But yeah, it's all right. What's wrong?
Starting to rain here.
Oh, okay. So yeah, all you cat people, our cats are great. No, they're not. Elvis is an innocent, poor little guy who never bothers anything. He isn't even bothered by the birds, right? I know a lot of dogs, they go for the birds when they're out for the walks and stuff. No.
Yeah, but this cat has been terrorized.
That's true.
Whole life.
Yeah, it probably got scared. Because Elvis probably goes bounding over to say hello, and he goes, ah! But yeah, I do feel sorry for him that he's got his little cut on his nose. So, where was I? Aaron. As we know, Shawn will never be part of his beloved copy. Be parted from his beloved copy of Beach Babes versus Nazi zombie surfers in space. by Phil McCracken. Yeah.
That sounds like a fabulous read.
Hey, Gemma, good to see you. I think it's your first time to join us, maybe, isn't it? Jenny, you sound like Gimli, beer and pork. Well, it's the national pastime here. Pork knuckles, kind of like gammon, at least in Taiwan. Is that your Adam?
Yeah, it's Adam. Yeah,
hey, Adam.
He's up late. I think it's 9 hours ahead, or like in the 9 hours from now. So it's like 3 a.m.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or no, 2 a.m. or something like that.
Nice to meet you last week. Well, kind of meet you. I mean, at least virtually. My best friend's dog Juno keeps trying to hunt all the pigeons. Oh, poor pigeons. So yeah. Before we go on to what we've read, or at least what I've read, you mentioned today was a special anniversary regarding.
Oh yeah, well, in 2015, I had my first poem published, and it was through the publisher that I got the book published, but it was through their e-zine, or as I think they call it in Jersey, or New York, it's e-zine.
And that's Siren School. Siren School Publications.
Yes, yeah. And the
e-zine had his whole book published in, which is this one here, Dark Passages, Moments in Transition, by our very own ShawnDStandfast, available from all good and not so good bookshops.
And I can sign, and for anybody that comes, I can sign a book.
But they have to buy it first, though.
I actually do have 2 copies, but they're both they're not in the greatest shape. But yeah, it's just I only got 1 copy. That's the thing. I only got 1 copy.
Yeah. Yeah. But just sort of plug it. Every little helps, right? So what have we got here? Adam's saying it's 1 a.m., not 3 a.m. there.
1 a.m.
Bill's here. Hi, Bill. Good to see you.
Okay.
And Cheryl's specifically saying hello to you, Shawn. So,
hello.
Sorry, I just had to check Elvis is eating something. So, did you manage to read anything this week? Or at least this week, I should say.
Well, I was reading The Wager. And then I sort of got a little sidetracked that I was watching some stuff on Prime before I give it up. If I do give it up now, I might keep it for another month because it might be something that'll be nice to have. I just was watching another series that was on there.
You won't have anything to read, will you? Everything will be in storage. So,
Yes. Well, I won't. I'll try to keep a few things back. But yeah, no, it's just I don't know who mentioned, because I did on my live. I got a huge list of shows to look at, and most of them aren't available here on Prime. But one was that I guess I think the 4th season is going to be coming up. It's called The Boys.
Oh yeah,
it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. It's just like it's like I didn't know what to expect. Like I was expecting like a Marvel, DC universe type thing, and it was, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah, someone recommended to me today. Our American viewers will probably know more because it's not technically out in the UK yet, and it's a program called Love and Death, and my colleagues were recommending it to me today. It's on HBO Max, which I know you guys don't have, and apparently it will come out in the autumn in the UK on ITVX, but apparently that's supposed to be quite good. So yeah, let's see. Cheryl's got a question for you, which I'll let you answer. You've probably answered this at some point on your channel, Shawn, but where are you from originally?
Canada.
Okay.
Ontario, Southern Ontario. I was born in Northern Ontario. I lived in Toronto for the 80s, and then I moved to Kitchener-Waterloo for university, and then here.
And Kitchener-Waterloo is one place. It's not.
Yeah. It's 2 cities, but they're basically one city. So and people call it KW, more or less.
Oh, okay. Very.
It's in between Toronto and London, Ontario.
I was going to say it's getting very confusing. So I don't think so, Jenny. Unfortunately, it's physiologically difficult for Sean to read off the Kindle. Although I still maintain,
Well, I can slowly. I can read little bits.
you probably can on one of those proper Paperwhites, though. It would be different. I know, but I know you said it flickers, but I think that's
I
just
do have a Paperwhite, and that's really bad because of the jagged end. There is flickering, especially changing the pages. What I use is this tablet, which is a Huawei, or that's wrong pronunciation, but I use this is. I'll show you what I do with it because I can read occasionally. It's Read Era that I
oh yeah.
use, and let's just look up the complete Clifford Simak magazine novels
Uh-huh.
that somebody's made into a thing. And see, I turn it to white uh, print with black background, and I turn the well, that's a little too far, but I turn the brightness down, especially, and it works better at nighttime, so
Yeah.
there isn't as much glare. But I still can't read for very long. I'm sure when I get around to getting new glasses, that probably will help a little bit, but I don't think it'll minimize things. So
Mm. Oh, okay. So you meant to say hi, Sean. You've probably answered the. Yeah, I get that. No worries, Cheryl. I was only kidding. You said hello beforehand, anyway. J. Scott Phillips is here. Hello. Good morning
hi.
to you in California. And to think of books, it's Amy. Hi,
Yeah,
guys. I'm just in time to hear about KW.
yeah. Amy knows the place. It's very different from what I understand. I still have a friend that lives there, and I think I got a couple subscribers that are from there as well. But it's kind of an odd thing because I do have people watch my channel that don't have a YouTube account, and we talk through emails. And but yeah, and it's kind of weird because since I left KW, it's very different. It's like a modern metropolis now, by the sounds of it.
Really? Mm-hmm. Well, I did finish something this week, and it was Larry McMurtry's Lonesome Dove. Oh yeah, I finished it. I read it with Shelley Swearingen. I actually really enjoyed the experience. It was good fun, and it's a good book. I have my thoughts on it. I will probably make a separate video about it because I do have a few things I want to say about it. But it was really good and well worth. I would say well worth the effort, but it wasn't really an effort. It was great fun. The characters are really interesting, and the conversations and stuff between them were really good. And yeah, I liked it. A lot of people go on and on about how wonderful it is. It's the best Western of all time, and I'm sure you're like me, Sean, where so many people say that you're like, yeah, right, yeah, okay, of course. But it's a contender.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I've never picked it up to read is because I didn't like the TV series. I didn't like it. So, but I know that's not a judge for anything,
Yeah.
But yeah.
And the other thing I've not finished, and I'm in the process of reading, is Robert Graves' Sorry, I need to block it out. Robert Graves' I, Claudius, which is also really good, actually. I'm enjoying that too. It's quite humorous.
Yeah, I bailed on that one. Bailing on this as well, I think.
Understandable. And then I released today my BookTube at War tentative TBR, or pile of possibilities, as you will. And once again, I've probably overreached. But as I said, I'm not committing to reading all the books I talked about. But they are what I read will come from that pool, unless I get distracted and it comes from somewhere else. But that can happen. But I think the Delta Fields are definite. All three Delta Fields that I plan to read for BookTube at War. So the 2 Avenue books, and then that short Napoleonic Too Few the Drums, or something I think it's called, that I've got. And then I think the Sword of Honor trilogy I feel like getting stuck into.
Yeah, I'd like to do the Avenue again, but yeah, I don't think I'll be able to do it, because the thing is, it's like I again, like you say, most of the books will be in storage, and I don't want to keep too much out, but I'll keep a few things out, things that'll sort of. Well, I'm sure that would be a good book to read, because I do like his writing, and I've read at least one of the Avenue ones. I'm not sure if I read both, but anyway, yeah. So I'll be packing most away, and I'll just keep a few things out that I know will keep me sort of happy in a sense.
Daniel asks if you couldn't just blink when you turn the page on a Kindle.
Oh, I look away, and when I do that, but what I do,
I'm turning the page now.
yeah, because but the thing is, it's just there seems to be a flicker on it, but you see, there could be an issue with this, because it was bought for me for a Christmas present, and I didn't receive it. And then about a month later, the neighbor came because they threw it over a fence, and it had been sitting out in the rain.
Oh, well,
But it was in a plastic bag, but it was in a sealed plastic thing. But I don't know. It seemed to have been fine, but I don't know. So there could be that issue as well. But as I say, this works much better though, because I don't have the flicker. It's just that for some reason, when I stare at anything too long, on computers too, I have problems, and that's why I need a monitor, because I'm using my TV as a monitor, which I thought would work, but it's flickering, and it's like the letters are jagged. It's causing havoc with my eye, because of the shingles that I've had in my left eye twice. So
maybe you should just wear an eye patch when you read.
yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, that might help. Yeah, because when I didn't have the sight in my eye, I still got headaches from reading, but I think it could be just because you're mono, one eye. So.
But what was I going to say? Well, at least you can hold off on the monitor for a bit now, right? Because I mean, let's say you don't need an extra thing to move, really, do you? So, gosh, another Californian. Hello, Francisco. Good to see you.
Hi. And I want to thank, because there's many people here that have put donations on, and I don't want to single anybody out, by saying anything, but thank you very much. That there's a number on here that have done that, so I really appreciate that.
It's just weird, isn't it, to think of these Californians sitting down to breakfast and watching us?
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I think they're 9 hours one way, and Adam's 9 hours, I think, the other way.
But it's like some people pop in and out. I think Summer must have done a runner, because we were talking about meat.
Yeah.
She said hi, and then I'm talking about.
You don't know what's happening. She could have got a phone call.
That's true.
She could have got a phone. Things happen.
Come on, it's us, Sean. She should have cancelled that call with a "I'll call you back later" message. I'm watching Mark and Sean, so J. Scott Phillips asks or says, "I've yet to read Lonesome. I assume it lives up to." Yeah, I think it does. It's very enjoyable. I do have a few issues with it, which kind of came. When I finished the book, I was like, that was awesome. And then the more I started thinking about things, I do have a couple of issues, but I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, of course. And I'll probably put it in a video with spoiler warnings, but I thought it was great. It was a 5-star read for me, for sure. Or it was a 5-star experience. Let's put it that way.
I could read it next year, I was thinking of, but it's just, I'm really trying to get into these old dime novels, American dime novels.
It's horrible. I think you'll enjoy it though, really.
Yeah. But I might see what I might do is read it, but not for Dune on the Range. I just might read it for
just read it, because to be honest, I'd actually really appreciate your thoughts as well, whether you kind of felt the same thing I did. And then when you read it, you'll know what I talked about, probably, which I'm not going to mention now. Cheryl asks, did I like Lonesome Dove better than True Grit? Well, Cheryl, that is a difficult question. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I liked it better. I like them both very much. But I don't think I can say in this instance that I liked one better than the other. And
See, True Grit.
if you put a gun to my head, then I'd probably actually go with True Grit.
See, True Grit was written in the 60s, and it has a 60s sensibility in many ways. It has a lot of stuff about women's liberation that was beginning and from the 60s and things like that. And other books like the Oxbow incident. It's a Western, but it's also about what is happening in Europe of World War II and prior to World War II. It's all these things. Like, does Lonesome Dove have that kind of thing? Is it parallel to something else that is happening when it was written?
I don't think so. It's in the 80s, right? So what's going on?
Recession.
The Iran-Contra affair.
Well, yeah, the recession in the U.S. So, with everything's being closed and people are being disenfranchised, factories being closed. Just think of Bruce Springsteen's.
Whatever.
Sorry.
My Hometown, or whatever it's called.
No. Well, no, the other one. What's the name of it? Oh, geez, I can't. Mansion on the Hill is in there. It's just basically acoustic one. It's a really downer one. But anyway, that's.
Well, I mean, I guess Lonesome Dove, the place, is kind of like a dead place, really, and they move because there's not much there and they want something better. So, I mean, there's that kind of thing. I mean, what Lonesome Dove has is probably one of the best literary creations, characters that I've come across in a long time, where I literally did develop a man crush on one of the characters, and he's just like an ingenious character, really. And there's it's a very good story. I just had I mean, Summer's still here, actually, she said, and I'll come back to these other comments, but just while we're on topic, she said she loved it and thought True Grit was all right. Well, I did like Lonesome Dove very much, and I as I said, I fell in love with aspects of it, but I think stylistically there was something perhaps not quite right for me. Although, as I said, it was excellent. I know it's difficult to put in words, especially without being able to, I can't give spoilers, so it's hard to justify what I mean, right? That's the problem. I can't really justify it or give you the information as to why I have this feeling without revealing things. And of course, I don't want to do that. And if I do that, I'll do it in a separate video where I, will warn people that I am actually going to go off and talk about, this and that. But, if anyone's hesitating, I would say absolutely don't hesitate. It's a wonderful book. Go and read it. It's definitely worth it. But maybe it's just my own feeling, but I just felt a couple of things needed maybe tweaking or something. And I guess one thing I suppose I can say is that, in essence, and maybe this is part of its success, but also a little bit, well, it's a very, very simple story that's done very, very well. So, like, there's actually nothing. The premise is nothing new, nothing particularly exciting. It's just so well executed. But within that, I also have a couple of issues which make it perhaps just a tiny, tiny bit less good to me than True Grit. But
Well, see, with True Grit, it's like I say, I think it's partially set in the 60s, like some sensibilities, but it's also because it's post Civil War, and there's certain things that were happening that are actually comparable to the 60s because it's sort of post World War II. So it's like, I don't know if he purposely put this stuff in, but I think there's a few layers to it, but it's not complex. It's definitely not a complex story. People talk about Shane too, because I reread Shane last year and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Shane, but it's basically a juvenile story. It's a juvenile
Yeah,
story.
it was something we had as reading in school, but I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
13 or something.
Like it does have something a little more because it is sort of, I think it's the, what is it, the Wyoming sort of range wars thing in the 1880s, or probably somebody else will say no, that's totally wrong, but the date wise, but it's got to do with that, where the farmers were coming in and
Mm,
ruining the ranges, or
mm,
um, right? No, sorry, I can't think of the word. But anyway, and then, but like I say, with the Oxbow incident, I think is much better than any of those. And like I reread Zane Grey as well, the Riders of the Purple Sage, and I really like his writing. He's a great writer. There's faults with the story. There's faults with the character, like the interactions and stuff like that. But his writing is actually very good, and it would be better, if you spent more time on it. But then I'm reading Louis L'Amour stuff, and it's like they're honking stories. They're great stories, lots of action. But he's a sloppy writer. He's an extremely sloppy writer.
So it's interesting what Aaron says here, that Rooster's a great character too, but obviously True Grit's much shorter. Now, Rooster is a fantastic character, but to me, I think one of the issues I had with Lonesome Dove was it actually wasn't long enough, even though it's long. It felt sometimes, I think there were probably some things left unanswered. Now, I know there is at least, I can't remember now if it's 2 prequels and 1 sequel, or 1 prequel, 2 sequels, or whatever it is, which way around. But I get the impression that even in the sequel, it's quite a few years later, and I feel that it could have been 1,000 pages, but the length of it makes no difference. Yeah, you get lost in this book. It is a fantastic world that you live in, and you feel like you actually you really get to know the characters, and the length just, it's not an issue. Yeah, you don't feel, you're not like, some books you're like, oh my god, it's, I've got, even Les Mis, which I love, sometimes you start to think, well, Jesus, I'm not even halfway through, how much more is going to go on, within this. But with Lonesome Dove, you don't get that at all. I could have read it in a week probably if I had nothing else on. It's an easy read, and it's fun. But as I said, I just feel, and I need to really put this down better in a separate video, what my slight, and it is really slight. So anybody who's sitting there thinking, I love Lonesome Dove, Mark's an idiot. I'm not at all criticizing it. Well, I am actually criticizing it a little bit, but I'm not saying that it's like a waste of time or it's a crap book. It's not. It's wonderful, fantastic, and well worth. Everybody should read it, definitely.
What I find a lot of times with genre stuff, you got ones that somebody's a great writer, like you're saying, a really good story, it's a simple story and stuff like this, and it's really enjoyable. And then you got somebody else that has a complex story and many layers to it, but they don't write that well,
Mm.
you know? And it's really hard. But when you get those two things together, then it's an amazing book when you get something like that, especially for the genre stuff. But it's rare. You usually get one or the other. And but it sounds like the Lonesome Dove is a simple story, as from what you're saying, and well written and enjoyable. But there's not much depth to it. Would you say that, or?
Yeah, in some way, yeah, it's hard. It's hard, really, to quantify or to put exactly in words, like on the spot, because it's a feeling I got, and the more I think about it, it's quite hard to articulate exactly what I mean. As I say, especially without giving anything away. Now, when you said well written, I'm not sure about that. It's well told.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. Sometimes I did feel, but then I'm sure there. I guess I wasn't so critical of True Grit because I took it as like just a kind of a Western novel. Whereas obviously this book is emblazoned with Pulitzer Prize winner, all this stuff that perhaps maybe I'm actually maybe a bit surprised at how simple it was to win. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm just thinking that
Yeah.
that perhaps there's something a bit more complex or in depth with books that win such prestigious prizes. But it is really great, and I kind of feel guilty now, adding like my little but about it. But as I said, it's just personal opinion. But I read it. Everybody read it.
Yeah, it's just I don't think there's any book that's perfect. That people do say there's perfect book. It's not like there's going to be shortfall somewhere that the author has for whatever reason, and but you can overlook some of those things because of the other great things about it. And with True Grit, it is so short, but I really think True Grit has a few layers to it because there's a lot of things going on there that are subtext that are not it's that are going on and I don't get that with something like Shane or Louis L'Amour. Well, there is something going on with Louis L'Amour, but it's a
There's
it's
something
a,
going
it's
on.
yeah, but it's a different kind of thing because he's looking back with hindsight for this, and he's imbuing the character, at least the Sacketts, he's imbuing the characters with foresight for things of how he would like America to have happened with people like that of integrity and that would be willing to work with others rather than destroy, which yeah, I can see that happening, but he doesn't craft it that well. That's the problem. But anyway, yeah, it's just there's no perfect book.
Well, it's very hard as well with these westerns because I have to say there wasn't a single one I've read last year, even like the stories and whatever this year of Leonard and Louis L'Amour, Lonesome, whatever. There's not a single one I've disliked. Right? There are varying degrees of how good they were or how much fun they were, but True Grit was great. The Shootist was really good. I enjoyed that. And then I enjoyed one which I think I'm the only person who's read it. And if you've read it, let me know in the comments. And it's another book by that Glennon Swartholt, the guy who wrote The Shootist. And it's called Old Colts. And it's like what is it? It's not. Is it historical fiction? Well, I didn't. What do you do if you take two actual people but you put them in an imaginary situation? It's not historical.
I don't know what you call it. It's like that's what I read too. A dime novel of Buffalo Bill Cody and Wild Bill Hickok.
Well, he takes. Is it Bat Masterson? I can't remember his name. He was a real gunfighter from the Old West, and he follows part of his life like as it happened, right? So this guy ended up leaving the Old West, and he became a journalist in New York City, yeah, in the early part of the 20th century, and he was friends with Wyatt Earp, if I remember rightly. But anyway, Wyatt Earp comes into the story, and I don't know if we talked about it before, but I'm sure I talked about it with someone recently. But Wyatt Earp comes into the story and comes to New York City to meet him, and they hang out and they do stuff and they start reminiscing, and then Bat Masterson's got a few troubles with debts and stuff, and but they're aged by now. I think they're in their 60s, maybe, or late 50s, 60s, and they decide to like go back to Dodge City, not Tombstone, but Dodge City, where they'd first met. And of course, they lament the changes. They go out in the town. They get involved with like all sorts of stuff. And the funny thing is that they're mentioned all over the place, but nobody, of course, recognizes them because they're old men. And this was a really, really good book. And it's such a shame that I don't even think it's in print. And I got an ebook copy, and then every time I've looked it up, it's always some secondhand thing. But it was great fun, and that I would definitely recommend people try it as well. But I should get through the comments because we're getting quite a lot here.
I'll just say though, The Shootist was a fabulous film, so I'm not surprised that it's a good book.
Yeah, no, it was excellent. Jenny, paperweights are pretty though. Yes, they are. Bill says many years ago he visited Toronto, Hamilton, and London, but not KW.
I've been to all three. An eye patch might work. I have, yeah.
And you often close it when you're reading, and you rarely think about it. Oh, cool. It's 11:30 in Alberta. Francisco's not actually eating breakfast. He's working and monitoring our video. Okay, well, we'll try and behave. Eye patch over each eye might help. Yeah, good one, Daniel. Nancy's here. Hi, Nancy. It's 1:30 p.m. in Boston. Oh, you're in Boston. Oh, gosh. You're not near somebody else we know from Boston, are you? Oh, I guess that means Nancy's got access to the Brattle. J. Scott Phillips, I did finally check True Grit off my 50-year-old TBR for Dune on the Range. It was a blast to read. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about the audiobook because they've got that Donna Tartt reading it, which is, I think, kind of interesting. It's probably not often you get one author reading another author's work, is it?
She did an introduction for the copy that I have, which I thought was a little strange, but anyway. But I'm curious to see what you think. Like you read it, it was a blast. Did you sort of see other sort of layers that he was trying to do, like with periods and stuff like that? That there's a little more to it than just on the surface, or it appears to be. Like I haven't reread it again, and picked out stuff, but I really feel like there are different layers to it. Not deep layers, but more than it appears.
You're asking J. Scott Phillips, not me.
Yeah.
Bill enjoyed it. Yeah, well, so did I.
Yeah.
Aaron did the prequels deal with Gus and Clara, and Summer confirms they do. Summer says that's why she went straight into the next book. It's very different from the first three in the series, but I wasn't finished. After reading it. Okay, I get you. Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't got it. I suppose I could get an ebook of it, but yeah, that's kind of how I felt, that maybe I should have gone straight into it. But it's, I do want to emphasize one more time, it's an excellent book. Excellent story. Well worth it.
So was it, there's 3 prequels then?
So it must be, well, no, I think she means there's Dead Man's Walk, which I read last year, actually, which I did enjoy. It's very different. You can see that he wrote it probably after, so he's building up the character's backstory after he's already written it. And then there's another one. I know there's like Streets of Laredo, but I don't know if that's after Lonesome Dove or before. And then the other one is something else. I think there's only 4 of them. So the first 3 are probably... Yeah, Lonesome Dove is either, I think Lonesome Dove is number 2 or number 3, and then Lonesome Dove would probably be number 3 then, and then one more after that. So Bill enjoyed Lonesome Dove last year, Streets of Laredo this year. So yeah, Streets of Laredo is probably the last one then. I'm guessing if Bill's reading it in order.
Yeah, Oxbow Incident, I think. It's probably the best Western for me that I've ever read. And I haven't read hundreds, but I've read dozens. And I really liked the film, and I read it a long time ago when I first saw the film, and I liked it, and it really, really hit me again, rereading it.
I didn't see it, Nancy. I'm so sorry, I didn't, but I'm glad you said that as well, because I think Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads also really recommended the audiobook, which is why I was tempted. And yes, I think she says so in the introduction to one of the editions of True Grit.
It's just weird. It's just weird though to have, I suppose, if she does Rooster Cogburn's voice, or if you got somebody who would be good at Rooster Cogburn to do Maddie. It just
that's true. Is she really gonna fill your hands, you son of a bitch? Elvis, sorry. I was just trying to eat.
That's a great character. So like, I shot him in whatever it was. I shot him in the upper lip. What was you aiming at? His lower lip. And then when he's drunk, he said, "This is a writ for a rat, writ," or something like that.
Maria suggests alternative history. I'm not quite sure, Maria. I don't. Well, maybe I suppose in some way it could be. It could be, but
Yeah,
maybe Parlabane has it there, which is some kind of biographical fiction. But then maybe
yeah,
it's alternative biographical fiction. Maybe.
yeah.
Call
Because
it.
yeah, the one that I read was like early on in the 1860s, or no, 1870s, I think. That was written about Wild Bill Hickok and Buffalo Bill Cody, and really nothing like the characters are nothing like them, but they were still alive at the time as well when he's writing these things. Oh no, he's a lousy writer, but because they're so bad, it's like these bad movies that are enjoyable to watch because they're so bad.
Oh, it's funny, right? Because I was thinking about Gone with the Wind the other day, yeah, and I thought, I love that film. I know not very PC probably to say, but I started like looking up the cast again because it had a really impressive cast. And one thing that kind of blew my mind is that you remember the film, obviously, yeah, you remember it in detail enough. If I
Yeah,
say,
and I'll tell you a few things that'll make you think differently about the film in a moment too.
well, I,
That's
I I know there's like some issues with, but what I found really fascinating was Leslie Howard as Ashley Wilkes, and then you have, I forget his name, the actor, but Gerald O'Hara, Scarlett's father. Yeah, he he's only 1 year older than Leslie Howard. Like when you watch
yeah.
it, he looks like he's like Scarlett's dad looks like he's like I don't know 50, 60 years old or something, but he's 1 year older than Leslie Howard, the guy
Well,
who
yeah,
plays
well, it's like Holly and the Ivy, great Christmas film. Ralph Richardson is the father of, it just slipped the name, but he's the father of an actress that's in there. And then a year or two later, or even before, they played husband and wife. It's just kind of weird.
Before you tell me about Gone with the Wind, because we can stick with that, because I do want to watch that again. Let me just go through and finish off these comments because there were quite a lot, but we'll come back to Gone with the Wind because I don't want Steve doing a live where he starts saying he hates those booktubers. Don't go through the comments, although he didn't mean us, to be fair. Where are we? Daniel, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter isn't considered historical fiction. Aaron just got Guns of the South from the library where Robert E. Lee has an AK-47. Well, I guess that could change things.
That's alternate history for sure.
Yeah. Jenny's questioning their alternate history. Oh, thank you, Sammy. Yeah, Dead Man's Walk and Comanche Moon, then Lonesome Dove, and then Streets of Laredo. So, oh, sorry. Jenny liked that film, I guess. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. Comanche Moon is your favorite. So that's the second book, is it? Well, I haven't read that either. So maybe I just need to read them all and things will fall into place. Because that's what I felt. I did feel there was some unfinished business, perhaps. Bill's book says it's been reading in publication order. Okay. Okay. Publication order, right? Not chronological order. The Spaminator's in the house. To hell with being PC. I want my Aunt Jemima syrup back. Okay. What about your Uncle Ben's rice as well, right? So, yeah. The non-PC media tends to be the best. Well, maybe not in the case of like the Daily Mail, perhaps, or something like that. But sorry if you really like the Daily Mail, but so yeah, Gone with the Wind. Hit me with your film.
I can't quite remember everybody's name, but I know the parts that dealing with. It's Vivian Lee, I think, is Scarlett, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Now she, the first okay, there's two parts here. The first director they had on there.
Do you need to like give a spoiler? It will ruin your viewing experience if you listen to this kind of thing, or
it might enhance it for some.
right, okay, right, let's go.
Okay, the first director, who played Rhett Butler again? What's his name?
Gable.
Clark Gable. Yeah, he refused to do it unless they changed the director, because when he was coming up, he allowed that director to do certain oral things on him.
Oh, well, he was Prep Boy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think also Cary Grant was one kind of as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. There's a lot of that stuff. But anyway, that director and Vivian Lee would go out and he would pick up sailor boys and they'd go to a hotel room and she liked to watch. And because she was, married eventually to Laurence Olivier, and there's all these basically pornographic letters between them that are still around. So it just adds a little difference to when you're watching the film.
But wasn't there like question marks really over Laurence Olivier's preferences?
Yes. Well, maybe that's why she married him. She liked watching two guys together, so therefore.
Sorry, I thought we could get Elvis there, but yeah, well, okay, fair enough. To each their own. Yeah, because I know one of the Carlton brothers, the twins, one of them went on to play Superman in the early TV series, and he killed himself. The actor, I mean. So I know that about it. Of course, Leslie Howard disappeared, didn't he? Somewhere over Spain. Bay of Biscay. That's Glenn Miller who died. I don't know, but he died. His plane went missing, didn't he?
Glenn Miller was over the channel, I think.
Oh, was he? So
and his last performance was at the Corn Exchange here in Bedford, and he lived in Milton Ernest, or he was staying in Milton Ernest, but his band was playing just down the road from where I am at an army sort of place.
Apparently, Clark Gable was scrupulously clean. He shaved all his body hair. He didn't like these things. He showered all the time. But apparently, he had bad breath, and it was something to do with the fact he had false teeth.
Mm.
So, these dentures and whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think what else I know of them all. But I do think I read somewhere about Mammy, so Hattie McDaniel, the actress, the black actress, where she was not so popular with a lot of African Americans because they were like, you're propagating the stereotype and all this kind of stuff. And she said something like, well, I suppose. Well, she said something like, oh yeah, well, I guess I could, be a maid and get paid $7 a week as opposed to playing one and getting paid $700 a week or something like that.
Well, that's the thing, because there was just going on from that. Like there's, all these stereotypes of the blacks. Like if it was a black guy, they're usually a chauffeur or something like that, and their bottom lip sort of, flaps around while they talk like yes sir and stuff like that. And I'm thinking sort of specifically, there's two really good films, The Cat and the Canary with Paula Goddard and the comedian that did the road movies with Bing. Bob Hope, yes, thank you. And he did another one called Ghost. Another Ghost.
It's like Ghostbusters, but it's not. I know what you mean.
Yeah. But the thing is, he's got a sort of a chauffeur, a black guy, and he's stereotypical, but he treats him as an equal and brings him around. He doesn't talk to him. He doesn't talk down to him. The character is stereotypical, but he doesn't treat, nor does Paula Goddard's character treat him as sub person. They're treated as an equal, which is kind of interesting. Like you got it on the one hand, you've got the racist and the stereotypical thing, but on the other hand, there's a little bit being put into the thing that is slightly and slowly changing, which is kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, speaking of like the race thing, going back to the film of Gone with the Wind, was like apparently I mean, I'd read somewhere ages ago that Clark Gable and Hattie McDaniel were actually quite friendly. And apparently, they were friendly even before they'd been in some film together before Gone with the Wind. And he's like the one who kind of suggested she went for the part. But apparently, like they segregated the set, for Gone with the Wind, and one of the black extras, told Clark Gable this, and he was absolutely outraged. And he went to Selznick and he said, unless you remove like all these signs saying, whites only toilet and all this kind of stuff, then you haven't got a Rhett Butler. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know whether that's partly because I guess where is he from? He's from actually Ohio, I think. So I don't know what their own history was in terms of like, the American Civil War and the background of that. But I know he was quite poor. He comes from quite a poor background. So I just wonder, and he was very humble, in this thing they were talking about how he left little notes to himself everywhere. Like, remember where you come from, Gable, or, be humble, all this kind of stuff. And apparently he was a really nice guy. But then, of course, Loretta Young says otherwise. So, who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting because you get other actors, like, I can't think of the guy's name, but he's got a really husky voice and he's a big guy. He usually plays Sorry? But he's a really good actor. I love his character acting. But this guy was a complete a-hole. It's like if there was any black person on the set, he would sometimes just walk off. He was absolutely racist, and they catered to him occasionally. You see, and it's really weird because you get these both things, and you do get a lot of actors that were like Clark Gable that refuse to have this kind of thing happening, and bringing in a bit of change. But the thing is, if you got a black actor at that time playing like somebody else, that would probably be the end of the film. Like it would not do well.
Well, so Paul Robeson though had like
he's a bit of a different thing, but he's still like you look at Showboat, he's still playing a stereotypical sort of black person.
Saunders of the River.
Yeah, and then you look at Louis Armstrong doing his things, like he's a savage playing his trumpet.
Yeah. Daniel says, "Don't spoil the movie. I don't know if he gives a damn or not yet." I'll tell you what, though. Perhaps it could be the name of your it could be the name of your autobiography, Sean, couldn't it? Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Well, that's because I was going to say, because a friend of mine, I knew two people that one called it the Big Burp, and then the other one called it the Big Fart. Because it's a visually stunning film because of Technicolor and everything like that. I just don't like it as a movie. I just can't. I don't like it as a movie. I don't like it.
I was talking to my parents last night, and they both said, "Oh yeah, it's just too long." And the second half, second half is really boring. And I'm like, no, I love it. I love the whole thing. I really like it. I could watch it again and again. I started watching it from a young age. I think I was only like 11 the first time I watched it, and I watched the whole thing. But I remember I remember staying up to watch it, and the thing was, it went later and later. And I said to Mum and Dad, "There can only be like 10 minutes left. Let me stay up." Let's go through these. So, damn talk about not being PC. Leslie Howard died so young. Yes. Howard's plane was shot down by the Luftwaffe, who thought it was Churchill's plane. Olivia de Havilland died. Olivia de Havilland died 2 years ago. She was 104 or 105. That's right. And they said there were only two actors from Gone with the Wind left alive, and it was her, and then the person who played her baby in the film, who was a baby. But she's really interesting as well because she was born in Tokyo.
Yeah, well, and there's the sisters too. There's the sisters.
And she was born in Tokyo, and her obviously British parents, and her cousin or uncle was Sir Geoffrey de Havilland of the aviation thing, and then she lived in Paris, like from the night. Bizarrely, I've got a book that she wrote called "Every Frenchman's Got One," and I keep meaning to read.
Oh yeah.
And she wrote that in the 50s, I think, and she's been living in Paris. Well, she had been living in Paris pretty much since I think the end of the 50s till she died. Yeah, so Gareth is here, or at least he was, like 2 hours ago when when he left the message. Hi everyone. Hi, hope everyone's okay. Good to see Sean smiling with everything that's happened. Well, of course, he would smile more if you could find it in your hearts to donate to his cause down below. See, Sean, I've got your back here. You know, happy to prostitute myself in this instance for you. I won't go as far as Clark Gable, but you know. Gareth, I tuned in and you were just talking about True Grit. I finished it last night. Well, what did you think about it, Gareth? Joe Carson, I hear Chevy Chase is pretty bad when it comes to insulting non-white co-stars.
Oh,
yeah, it blows my mind, you know, really, that it can be that bad still with some people in these times. Yeah, especially people you'd like to think would know better. And the thing is, his even, but I suppose there's no rule about your geographical location, I suppose, in America as to whether you're a racist or not. Because I mean, isn't he from New England or somewhere originally? Or maybe it's just because I've got Chevy Chase, Maryland in my head. I don't know. Summer says Ohio was always against slavery. It was a union state. Well, there you go. Daniel's in Ohio right now, and he's definitely against slavery. So that's nice to know. Aaron, people keep complaining about long films. Are now try Gone with the Wind and Das Boot. Yeah, well,
yeah, I like Das Boot,
but they were one-offs though. These really long films like Ben-Hur or Gone with the Wind or whatever.
well,
epics, weren't they? That's what they were. They were the epics. But most films were not, of course, that
American films. Right. European films and other places had long film. Like, you know, the Napoleon's going to be coming out with probably an 8-hour cut at some point. Abel Gance's Napoleon, 8 or 9 hours. So I can't wait for that.
As one film?
Yeah.
Not in different parts.
Well, they would have played it over a couple nights, but it's one film. It's like Les Miserables in the 30s. The Bernard, I think it is. It's like 3 films, but it was made so it's one film, but it was played over 3 nights, and that's what Europeans did, and that's where, like, you know, some Europeans like Erich von Stroheim wanted to do Greed that way, and they just thought he was nuts, you know, to have a 10-hour film, you know.
Is this a German thing?
No, it's European. French, Germans will do it. Yeah, it's just everybody.
This is like Wagner. Maybe he started the trend.
So. Yeah, it's normal. Like people had no problem with going to a cinema 3 nights in a row to watch a film.
I mean, it is interesting to me when you have this great book that is Lonesome Dove. That it hasn't been made into a film. I know they had the miniseries back in the 80s, but I'm rather surprised that, you know, whether it's just because there's no, but then people say like the Westerns kind of died or whatever, but when they bring out a Western, you know, even when they remake something like True Grit or when they even brought out Tombstone in the mid-90s or whatever, they're very popular films. And I'm sure Lonesome Dove, if it was made into a film, you know, the story is that good that it's almost hard to pick up, really, I would say. So it probably would be a good film. Probably would come up quite well. What did I say, Amy? Did I not say miniseries? What did I say?
TV? Now we would call it a miniseries.
I meant miniseries anyway. I don't remember what I said now. Gareth loved it anyway. Historical epics seem to be rarer, and ensemble films that aren't Star Wars or Marvel related, etc., seem to be rarer too.
Well, one thing, like, I've been watching on TV, sort of new newish TV shows. Like, I mean, in the last 20 years, like The Boys, and I watched another one, a post-apocalyptic one called oh, I guess it's like starts out with the word evolve and then revolution. Evolution. Revolution. It was called. It was 2 series, post-apocalyptic, but they all these series run on the same thing. Like there's just this like things that they do, like everything, and it's the old things where people are bad guys. But now there's really no good guys or bad guys. There's no definition between them. And they'll try to kill one other person. They're fighting with each other. Then in the next episode, they're working together. And it's just and then somebody gets captured by somebody else. And then they gotta free them. And then somebody else gets captured. They gotta go back and forth. It's like the old serials. And there's just so much stuff with like it's just really it's just like these are bullet points that they need to have in these films. And like I don't like using the word tropes, but that's in a way what it is. And they're all the same. They're just all the same. And yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I just like it doesn't change for the enjoyment of it. But it's nice.
I get what you mean. I absolutely get what you mean. Aaron says you like the intermissions they used to have in the middle. It's funny. I was just thinking as I read that comment. I'm sure the last time I was in the cinema and they had an intermission, and I want to say it was. And I don't know if they did this in the US, and if anyone watched it, let me know, because it was. I was in Germany. I was in Frankfurt, and I watched Pearl Harbor. I think it's Pearl Harbor I'm thinking of in the cinema, and they had an intermission in that, and I can't remember how long it was, but there actually was like a cinema intermission. We could get out, go to the toilet, whatever.
Well, for Napoleon,
but
Napoleon, they had 2. They would do 2 intermissions, and that's 5.5 hours long. The film, so it makes 7 hours plus with the intermissions.
Oh yeah, it was 2001, so that was in Germany. I'm just trying to see if it says how long it was.
Yeah. 2001 was not Napoleon.
I'm talking about Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see if it says the runtime. Doesn't seem to say. I don't know. Well, speaking of Gone with the Wind, Elvis. Jeepers. No, it doesn't say. Oh, yeah, 3 hours and 3 minutes. There you go. So it's 3 hours. 3 minutes.
You don't need an intermission for that. God, what wimps? What wimps?
I said Germans, though, but then, of course, we're talking about having extra long, extra long stuff. And actually,
I watched LaRue. That's another Abel Gance film, and it's on like 3 Blu-rays, and I watched it straight through, and that's got to be 5 hours plus, or even close to 6 hours.
Alexis is here, and she brings up a good point. Did you actually have to pay 3 nights in a row to see the film, or did you pay once and go back for 3 nights?
That I'm not really sure. There's a book I want to get again, and I never read it. It was a book about going to the cinema in silent era Paris and France, and I'm sure that would be covered there. But no, I don't off the top of my head. No, I would assume you pay 3 times. I assume. Or you might buy one ticket that will cover it all.
Yeah. Hey, Gola, good to see you.
Hi.
Aaron's saying he's just started Revolution, and there's another post-apocalyptic series called Jericho that's worth a watch.
Yeah, I've seen Jericho. I enjoy it. I enjoyed Revolution.
Keep talking.
Yeah, I enjoyed Revolution, but it's again these kind of things that each season, they overcome something, but then there's something else that happens for the next season, and they just continue to do this. Or the other things are that through all the time, like people get shot, and they heal. It appears in days, but then when it requires for the script, if they get shot or break an arm, they're stuffed for a long time. And it's like they're in a place and they're going through this all the time. Then all of a sudden, if the script requires it, they fall through a floor. And it's like all these things where everything's been happening in that place before and nothing like this happened, but it's like they write it in. And that's what I mean of all these things that are just sometimes they're eye rolling because they're so obvious that they're throwing this stuff in. And it's like it's almost as if there's a checklist of things of saying each episode you need to put this in. Somebody's got to get shot. But in Revolution, talking about the death toll and that, I don't know. There's got to be like each of the characters must kill hundreds or thousands of people throughout the series. But as I say, it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, they do tend to be a bit samey.
And the other thing that I'm finding now with new ones is female characters are written basically as male characters. They're basically a male character, but female. They're a male character with boobs, basically. And usually, this post-apocalyptic, they all have perfect makeup on. They all have the women have perfect hair, all the time. And everybody has, if you shine a light on them, you'll get blinded by the reflection of their white teeth. This is post-apocalyptic. You're not going to have perfectly white teeth.
Maybe we need to do a European-style live stream at 6 hours. Not today.
There are people that do it.
Not today. We could try something over the summer. What have we got here? Spaminator is getting censored by YouTube again. He wants to talk about how he treated to Spaminate. Tried maybe how I treated to Spaminate a Waffle House. Maybe tried. I don't know. A Waffle House employee. Professor Oz. Length. I don't know who that is.
I'm not sure.
Maria, not sure. I lost that there. It's the problem sometimes, unfortunately. The chat moves on and we're behind. I can't remember what happened 5 minutes.
Professor Oz must be something that's long. Yeah, I don't recognize the name.
I like anti-heroes and bad guys, but you need to have a balance. That one voice in the group who's tries to do good. That's why I lost interest in The Walking Dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Not treated. Okay, got you. Sorry.
Yeah, like that. Well, that's the thing. It's like there's always somebody that, like, it's the person who, like in Revolution, it's the person who destroys the world, and then all of a sudden they are trying to talk about, being good and do things right until it affects them, and it's like, kill the fuckers, It's sorry. But that's how it usually is with these things, and it's like I say, it's too blatant. It's too sloppy. To me, it's sloppy writing in most of it.
5.5 hours. That's a sore bum in some cinemas. Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, like it's like the Napoleon. Like we had breaks, and then we had sort of a lunch break, a long lunch break. When they did it one time, I think in Colorado, it was in the UK here. They actually had caterers in to feed people.
I mean, these films are perfect if you're going on a long haul flight. Of course, you're trapped; you can't leave anyway. So Aaron, I'd be surprised if anyone stayed to the. Yeah, what a load of rubbish it was, really. Germans actually don't pee in the intermission. They each bring a sealed container to pee during the film. The intermission is for emptying the container. Daniel can't even get through a normal film without a movie without a bathroom break anymore. How do you sit through a 5-hour movie?
Well, yeah, did have bathroom breaks, but I don't really call that a break, in a thing like that's just a few minutes, to go and have a pee.
Jenny, once it was enough for Pearl Harbor, same with Titanic, yet there were girls in my class at school who went multiple times to see it in the cinema. Yeah, probably because of Josh Hartnett, or whatever his name is, Hartnett.
I remember a friend of mine, she came over when I was in Canada and wanted me to watch Titanic. It was a favorite movie of hers, and it was on videotape. And watched the first one, and then the second one went in, and thank God my tape machine ate the tape. So I never got to see the end of it, so I was so glad.
I actually watched it in the cinema, Titanic. And
I just thought it was so bad. I mean, absolutely so bad that I was just going, oh, God, there's more to it. And then they kept saying, oh, you'll never know how it ends. The ship sinks. I know how it ends.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Where are we? Summer's left, so she probably doesn't hear us saying goodbye.
Oh. Okay.
Spaminator's sending a test message as he thinks he's being. I think you got paranoia there, Spaminator. We seem to see your messages.
Well, no, like that was the problem on my actually when I did my solo live too. He was putting stuff up and it wasn't showing. And then I had a subscriber too it was in Canada. It's like everything he was trying to put comments on mine would disappear. And then all of a sudden it's working, and I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't know. Don't know what's going on with these things. Daniel's movie theater didn't have an intermission for Titanic. Gareth quite liked Colony, but they cancelled it quickly. Revolution had some good points, but not amazing.
Colony. That's another. I don't know Colony.
I'm guessing it's another science fiction thing.
Oh.
It's all the girls are perfectly shaved that gets me.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's underarms, like post-apocalyptic. And legs are perfectly waxed. They're just perfect. Makeup and everything. Hair's perfect, and it's like usually the guys look rougher, but the women are still in designer clothes and everything too. And it's like,
well, I thought she was talking about Titanic or Pearl Harbor then for a second. But I started watching Deadwood again, the series.
I haven't seen that. So.
It's really good, but there's a bit in it where Calamity Jane gets naked, and she's definitely not shaved at all anywhere. Let's leave it like that. And plus, she's a bit weird anyway, Calamity Jane in that program. But it's a good. Ian McShane's great in that. He plays that Al Swearingen. I really.
Oh, he's really great. American Gods, like that was stopped. Never read the book. I've only read a short story of Neil Gaiman, but I love the series. It took me a little while to get into it until I figured out how it was working. And like with metaphors and everything like that. But if you want an evil character, he is probably one of the evilest characters there is, but he's still so charming. Like, he's so charming. He's a bit
like that. He's a bit like that in Deadwood, actually, from time to time. So it's because the thing is, it's weird because in Deadwood, a lot of the people in it are based on real people or are real people. Because Wild Bill Hickok's in it. I think Wyatt Earp comes into it at some point, and obviously Calamity Jane's there. Charlie Udder and there was an Al Swearingen, but in this instance, I guess to cover his accent, they've made him Albert instead of whatever his real name was. And they've made him an immigrant from England, as opposed to, I think the real one was born in like maybe Ohio again or somewhere like that. So,
well, didn't Doris Day play Calamity Jane at some point, I think?
Maybe. Or was it Annie Oak? I don't know.
I don't think so.
No. What have we got here? Maria's going about Jules Verne Professor Oz experiment.
Oh, yeah. Did they make a movie of that? Because, I read the book just recently this year. Oh, yeah, well, we read it. Sorry, yeah. That like she's
Wasn't that
yeah.
that was Doctor Ox? No.
Yeah, Doctor, or is that yeah, Doctor Ox? Okay, but oh, okay, that's the wrong one then. Yeah, so I don't know Professor Oz experiment then.
I don't know either. Never mind. Looks like YouTube's playing ball for now. Aaron's heard good things about Silo, but not seen it yet. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
also
so,
there's a new Star Trek, isn't there, on HBO as well?
yeah. Well, you can't get it. You have to pay for it because it's on Paramount or something.
Yeah, I got
So
it.
I
I
can't see
got
it.
it like on my subscription. You know, I
Because
have.
when the first things that I watched were when I got it. I wanted to watch the fifth season, the final season, and they made I always say amazing, but it's the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I really like that series. And then I wanted to watch the final series of Picard, which was fun. And then I didn't know what else to watch. And then people gave me a list, and I did watch. I think Jenny mentioned Reacher, and I watched that. That was fun. That was fun. The Jack Ryan though, I think Jenny mentioned that too, or somebody else. I tried to watch. No, that didn't quite work for me.
Yeah, I enjoyed Jack Reacher as well.
Yeah, I think there's a new series.
There was also good fun, but I don't know if you can watch it in the UK yet. Is Tulsa King, which is actually Sylvester Stallone's foray into a TV series, and it's by I think the same writer as one of the same writers as The Sopranos or something. But it's just good fun, you know. It's not amazing, but like Jack Reacher,
does he have a Zimmer frame and is somebody holding up his plastic surgery?
Yeah, but the nice thing about it is he plays his age. Like he meets this woman in a bar, he goes to bed with her, and like the next day she says to him, like, you know, how old are you? He's like, well, I'm not gonna tell you, but I'll put it this way. I was like a senior in high school when Kennedy got shot, and she always fell out of bed. Which is kind of fun. But I really enjoyed it.
He looks 150 with all the plastic surgery he's had.
Yeah. I tell you what's really good, if anyone's watching and they've got Netflix, and that's Arnold. It's a 3-part documentary about Arnold Schwarzenegger with his. Maybe he's done it. I don't know, but he's like the focus of it, and he's in it, and it's really good. It is really good.
That reminds me, if anybody, the first time I ever saw Arnold Schwarzenegger, because my mom used to like I Love Lucy, and he was on I Love Lucy. Scary. It's just so funny.
He was. They show part of that, but he is such a nice guy. Like seriously as well, and he's very open about everything. Like even his misdeeds and whatever he talks about it. But it's just when you think about him, he really is an incredible person. I mean, you can joke about him all you want, and obviously he's not, like his actor is probably, but even he would be the first to say probably not. He's a movie star. He's not an actor, right? Necessarily in some level, but he epitomizes that whole like American dream, if you like. A fairly poor immigrant went over there, and if you think about it, he rose to the top in 3 independent fields. And what surprised me, I didn't even know this, he was already a millionaire before he started acting. Because he got into, obviously he didn't become a millionaire. Well, yeah, that was a means to an end, but he didn't become a millionaire from winning the competitions and stuff. But he got into learning the business side of it. He got into merchandising. And then when he got money, he started investing in property. So he actually had this property portfolio that had made him a millionaire before he even went into his first film. And he's just, I really liked him for watching this. And maybe that's the goal of it, but it's just very well done. It's very moving. And, you learn about obviously his early life all the way through to the present. And it is excellent. I do recommend it.
But I bet the I Love Lucy scene it's got to be on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, probably. But it's in the program. They show it in this. He's in I Love Lucy. He's also in something, I don't know, his Love Boat or something like this.
No, he's on Love Boat, I think. Yeah,
another TV series.
I used to like that. I used to really like Love Boat.
What have we got here? Yeah, okay. Gola. I also love my strong female characters, but I notice these days, in order for the female character to rise up, she has to talk down to a man in a film. Yeah, there does seem to be a bit of that, I suppose.
Yeah, well, there's strong, strong female characters are great, but when they have them, in a fist fight, taking out six guys that are, twice their weight, a guy can't even do that, let alone, it's just nobody can do that.
We have to blitz the comments. There's a ton of them, so
okay, yeah,
let's go. I don't know. I'm tired of cute but lovable bad guys. I hate having to support them while I play video games. Yes. I'll spoil it for Sean. I'm afraid this ship sinks in the end. You see how far back they are? That's still on Titanic. Yeah. She-Hulk's a good example of that. She always talks down to a guy. If anyone asks me if Pearl Harbor's worth a watch, Tora. Exactly, Aaron. That's a good. That's
a good one. Yeah.
Spaminator should change his name. I've noticed after a while it won't send messages. So obviously this is maybe the YouTube problem we were talking about. Anyway, so this Waffle House employee, curly-headed twig boy, clearly not eating beef, on his phone instead of making my damn hash browns. So out comes the Spamination Ray. I didn't leave a tip either. Maybe Spaminator should change his ways. Daniel, I've never learned from any of my mistakes, and I'm not about to start now. Good one, Daniel. I loved American Gods. So yeah, we are quite far back. Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite authors. Yes, he's pretty good fun. Does anyone know if Open Range film is also a book? I'm not sure. Hopefully someone's answered you down below if they know. I Caught Alive. You did, Nicole, but you've probably been and gone by the time we got to your comments. Sorry about that. Hello. Uhuru? Was it Uhuru? From Star Trek, and Ripley from Aliens are, in my opinion, good. Yeah. I don't know too much.
I agree with that. Yeah,
and maybe yes, I think Jenny's right. Sarah Connor's pretty good as well.
I've not seen them.
You've seen the Terminators?
I've seen, I think maybe the first one, but I haven't seen the others, and I haven't seen the series.
The second one's the best one, I think, to be honest. But then that's the one I remember. Maria, sorry, I'm walking the dog and texting. In the book, the town had very, very long operas. So that must be the Ox thing. Or the
Ox, yeah, it is. Yeah. No, it's just hilarious. Yeah, the opera thing with. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. No, yeah, that is hilarious. Those scenes.
Alexa says that Netflix is buying Paramount. Well, that's annoying because Paramount make up part of my. We have a Central European service here now called Sky Showtime, which takes the Showtime, the Showtime cable channel in the States. I guess it was like a rival to HBO, and then things from Sky, but also from Paramount and from someone else I've forgotten. Peacock or something. And that's where I get to watch like the Tulsa King and a few other things. But it's really nice because I only pay 89 Czech crowns a month, which is like just under £3. And it's like I got in there because it was brand new and it said sign up now for this special price forever. So I thought, yeah, all right then.
The one thing, Showtime, I think, did a series that I really love, and I probably will wind up buying it on DVD or Blu-ray. Early 2000s, I think, called Dead Like Me. It's about Grim Reapers.
Yeah.
It is fabulous. Never finished, but it was great.
Completely agree, Jenny. Jack Reacher was great fun. Really,
well,
really
at least at least they had somebody. They didn't have a midget, playing the character.
Yeah. Amy, you watched it. Tulsa King is good. Yeah, it was good fun. I really enjoyed that.
I like what they did with Tom Cruise on The Preacher. They blowed him up good.
The thing with Stallone, though, he just gets harder and harder to understand as he gets older, though. That's thing. Gola, yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It really was excellent. The documentary about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then I started watching another one. I haven't finished it yet. I only watched the first 2 series. And you might remember this, Sean. It was in the. Oh no, you might not remember it. I think it was like 1971. So even that's probably too. But it was about DB Cooper. You know, the guy who did. He's the only guy in history who carried off a plane jacking and got away with it. And he jumped out of the plane with like $200,000. And there's a documentary about this on Netflix, and I only saw the first 2 parts, but that's really funny, fun as well, interesting. Yuri's here. Hey there. Why are you discussing shaved girls? Well,
we just need to add, genital.
Jenny's trying to raise money for Sean. Terminator 2 is I think Terminator 2 is the best one, actually. And Spaminator is buying Netflix, right? Okay. Yuri, Jenny says, Yuri, just the usual chaos. We're discussing how pretty everyone looks in post-apocalyptic media. Another Bostonian's joined us. Did somebody say pretty? Yes. Nancy agrees with me. T2 is the best. Linda Hamilton worked out 4 hours a day to make Sarah Connor a badass. And she is a badass in that. It's great. It's one of those films where I can pretty much watch again and again and just have fun with it. Daniel's off. Well, good luck. But you've probably gone about 2 hours ago since we got to your comment. Steve Donahue, we summoned you. Yes, we were talking about shaved girls, and Steve appeared. So that's nice. Gola, the Termination TV series was better than I thought it would be. Better than the Terminator movies that came after T2. Yeah, I think I watched.
Oh, is that what it's called? Is that what the series is called? Okay.
I think I watched the 3rd one in the cinema, and it was rubbish. But the 2nd one. I think what makes the 2nd one is that Arnold's a good guy. You know, because it's hard to get in with a bad guy in Terminator 1. So
I should bring back Arnold for an aged, go into the Robert Howard stories of Conan and do him as an aged king. You know, that could work.
Yeah, I tell you what was fun, and I don't know if people agree with me. Were those Expendable films? At least the first 2, maybe. The first one was great, but maybe the first 2. When Chuck Norris turned up, that was just awesome. You've never seen them. They bring in all like the aged action heroes from the 80s back and put them into these films. So you got Stallone, you got Schwarzenegger, you've got like Dolph Lundgren, you've got Chuck Norris is in one. You know, they all come back into these things. Eric Roberts is it? All sorts. Great fun. I don't know. Was Jean-Claude Van Damme in them? I can't remember. Tiny Tom as Jack Reacher and Tiny Timothy as Paul. Spaminator at Steve Donahue. Yes, someone did say pretty. Why are you here? Oh. Well, now Steve is here. I'm going to have to tell my boss to stuff it. I don't know. Steve's probably not here anymore, though. He's gone to shave. Terminator, the Sarah Chronicles story. The Sarah Connor Chronicles. Spaminator, I've caught up. We've just got one more to go. I've been trying to get Arnold to play me in a new movie for years, but he stopped taking my. I'm the Spaminator. How dare your boss expect you to work? What is the world coming to? Yeah, I have to say, Daniel, you should get the Spaminator to have a word with him. Expendables and Red were 2 franchises that you can't get enough of them. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah, he was. He was in the 2nd one. I thought he was in it. Yeah. He was.
What's Red? What's Red?
Was it Retired and Extremely Dangerous or something? Is that what it was? It was about a bunch of retired CIA agents, and it had. I only saw the first one, and it had Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren, Morgan Freeman, maybe some other oldies.
Well, there's a new Indiana Jones film apparently, and it's like I don't know. They must have a walker for him because he's pretty damn doddery. Anytime I saw him come out on a talk show several years ago, it's like,
who?
Give it up, people.
Who?
Indiana Jones.
Oh, Harrison
Harrison
Ford.
Ford.
Yeah. Don't get May started about Tiny Timothy. I'm on my 4th rewatch of Dune 2.
Oh, is that out yet, or is he remake?
He probably gets the advanced stuff, doesn't he? They've been trying to do older Conan film with Schwarzenegger in, but nobody's interested after the 2011 Conan film flopped. I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, but that wasn't with. I'm sure that's not with Schwarzenegger. It was somebody else, wasn't it? I knew there was another one, but the guy just looked too pretty. He looked like a pretty boy, if I remember right.
They all do. John Malkovich was in Red as well. Yeah, I do like John Malkovich.
The only film that I like John Malkovich in is
Empire of the Sun.
No.
Dangerous Liaison.
It's the film. I am trying to think. Shadow of the Vampire is the only time that he plays F.W. Murnau really well. That's the only film that I like him. I don't like him otherwise.
Yeah, but you didn't like Empire of the Sun?
I don't remember it being very good.
It's a great film. It's one of my faves. If they can redo Ghostbusters after a recent flop, they can redo Arnold as Conan. Well, you would hope so, wouldn't you?
Wait a minute. I knew that they did a Ghostbuster. Have they made it again?
Yeah, they did one with like women.
Yeah.
Which and I don't cancel me if I got it wrong, but I'm assuming that was the one that was a flop.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then they remade it again with that Paul Rudd, is it? And they brought in as cameos the Ghostbusters that are still alive, yeah. And it was all right. I watched it, but like a lot of these
things, Weaver could work as a good librarian or something like that.
I don't think she was in it actually.
Oh.
But, Jason Momoa's Conan was a lot of fun. Amy says Harrison Ford was good in 1923. Well, yeah, I mean he's been around that long at least, so you know. A film with Empire in the title is one of Mark's favorites. How surprised? Yeah. Well, if anyone likes podcasts, listen to Empire podcast. It's brilliant. There you go. William Dalrymple, Anita Anand. Very good fun. Very well done. But of course, Steve, Empire of the Sun, it's the wrong empire. Where are we? The 2011 film flopping seems to have put Hollywood doing anything with Conan. Put off anyone doing anything with Conan, yeah. Where are we?
No, I think it was good. Like I remember going and seeing it, the Conan film.
Yeah, Malkovich. Yeah. He's. I do think he's good, Malkovich. I'm sure doesn't agree. Empire Records, yeah. Not just all the original Ghostbusters who are still alive, but also infamously, and then we just get a question mark. Or is that a comma? Maybe maybe Steve's getting censored like the Spaminator.
Oh.
Maybe Harrison Ford was that baby and Gone with the Wind. Yeah, he could have been.
So I guess Dune 2 is going to be the final one. They're not doing a 3-parter, or is it just 2 parts?
Well, yeah, actually, you're right, Steve. You're right. Yeah, they did bring back the one that was dead as well. But I suppose they couldn't you, if it's called Ghostbusters? So, yeah. So we kind of turned into a movie channel this evening, given the lack of reading that's been going on in our respective spheres.
Well, I have to think because I'll be packing up all my Blu-rays as well, DVDs, so I won't have anything to watch there. That's why I was thinking I might. They put it up a whole pound though. You know, it's $8.99 a month now for Prime.
I mean, you could, while you've got the free one, you could take one of your tablets and download a few series and stuff, and then just turn off the internet.
There's not enough space on them. That's the thing.
Until you're done watching them. All right.
But I don't know if they work then. That's the thing. Will they then work? I don't know. They're only for a short period.
Where are we? Alexis Steve, a comma, very cryptic. Aaron, I liked the 2011 and 2009 Solomon Kane film, but Hollywood seemed to be unable or unwilling to do anything good with Robert E. Howard with a big budget. I didn't know there was a... Oh, you mean the Conan film, 2011, yeah, and then Solomon Kane film. Yeah, I thought Solomon Kane was all right. I didn't even know it was based off when I watched it back in 2009.
I knew that it was out, but I've never seen it.
Steve has so many thoughts about Dune 2. So,
do they lead you back to the Leeds cinema?
yeah, back to the Odeon in Leeds. I can't see them doing Galactic Jihad in Dune Messiah. Maybe if Dune 2 does well, they will take Dune Messiah and make it into a trilogy like they did with The Hobbit.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, there's no,
that would be bad.
What people in Hollywood would do, eh? So,
well, you could easily do the first Dune book into a trilogy easily. You could do it a miniseries like they did on I like the Sci-Fi Channel's Dune series. I think there was
a series of it.
What?
There's a series of it.
Yeah, they did a TV series, and it was good. It was. I thought it was really good. It was better than Ken Lynch. Was it Ken Lynch?
David Lynch.
David Lynch. Yeah, sorry. David Lynch film in the 80s. I remember so excited to go see that in the cinema. I remember getting on the bus in Toronto, going to the cinema to watch it, and there was only one reason I didn't walk out, and it was because of Francesca and Eve, or Annis.
Well, I don't know if Steve's giving away a massive spoiler here, but he's like, Dune 2 is going to make a pile of money, but there will never be a third movie.
So it's not complete then, I guess. Oh, okay. Or I'm assuming, or does he mean going on to the...
I just watched Dune a few days ago. Probably have to wait a year for Dune 2 on Netflix. See, I'm out of this because I've never read the books, never seen the films, don't know anything about it.
Well, didn't they, for the first Dune, you could, I think that was because of COVID, but you could pay and watch it, stream it, while it was in the cinema.
Really?
I'm pretty sure you could, yeah.
I'm annoyed they didn't have the dinner scene from the first Dune. It was my favorite scene in the whole book.
Yeah, it's a very important scene, the banquet scene, and I don't know why it's not in there. It's so important. It's extremely important. And the thing is, when they did records for stuff, and the one big record they did on Camden, I think, with Frank Herbert reading, he read the banquet scene.
I love Sci-Fi Channel's Dune and Children of Dune. They can't have the dinner scene because Chalamet's never had a meal. No, I mean, they'll never make Dune Messiah with this director and cast. Daniel says, you've never read Dune, book Tube at War, add it to your TBR. Yeah, but it's not a real war, is it?
Yeah, but I was going to read Future Wars, not Real Wars.
Yeah, but I'm not a big fantasy fan, so... Sorry, sci-fi, science fiction, fantasy.
I call it science fiction, but some people call it science fantasy. The book, but I'll argue science fiction.
I'll give it a go probably at some point, but I put out my possibility for reads of BookTube at War, and Dune's quite big, isn't it?
Yeah, what is it? 600 pages or 500 something?
Might be pushing it, yeah. But,
but
maybe I can put it into November, New World's November. So it's real to you, is it? All right. Sorry, Daniel. Who is it that we have on here who's always reading Dune? Like, who's making their way
It's
through the whole...
Gola.
Gola's reading reading their way all through the whole...
Yeah, because he uses the name of the Fremen name for Paul for his name. He's still here, I think.
Uses what, sorry?
He uses Paul's Fremen name.
Okay.
Paul Atreides has a Fremen name, Gola Maudib.
I don't know, do
That's
I?
Paul. That's Paul.
Okay. Huh.
Or it also means little mouse or something like that too.
Alexa says, I'm not missing much. She's not a Dune fan. It is not sci-fi. It's fantasy series with spaceships. Oh, Gola is the God Emperor now. So there we go. Just averting that. Because I'm getting quite tired. So I was thinking to wrap up, and I thought, oh no, if there's a debate about what is science fiction and fantasy again, I can't go for another 3 hours. Steve says, the absolute deal breaker for the finale is the climactic battle confrontation with the Emperor, Christopher Walken. Wow.
Oh, God. No.
Good.
No.
Easy. Jenny says the audiobook confused me. It's only parts of it have full cast narration and the rest by a single narrator. Well, that's interesting. Alexis thinks Star Wars, though, is a fantasy series with spaceships. And
Star Wars is fantasy because there is the Force, which is not explained. It's supernatural. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything more.
So there's no supernatural in Dune?
No.
No magic, nothing.
No. People say it is, but you see the spice changes the brain chemistry like a drug can change things in people's brain chemistry. So he's projected it as it changes it so much that it can make you do certain things and see things for the future or the past. And that's all theoretically possible, like in a sense. And he's using science for that. So
it's not fantasy, it's romance. Well, I mean, maybe I should add it to my birthday wish list, possibly. I don't know. The Dune book is the book adaptation of the Odd Sting film. Of that Odd Sting film.
Yeah, well, Sting was it Rautha or whatever? He was Harkonnen.
Space Wizards. Ha 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 ha. Well, I don't know about you, Sean, but I'm getting hot and I'm tired and I need a drink and I need to go to bed, even though it's the first, I'm off for 2 months. So that was actually one of the nicest things this morning was waking up, because I always wake up before my alarm to take Elvis out. And I go, Alexa, cancel my alarm. She goes, okay. Do you want to cancel your alarm for every weekday? And of course, every morning I had to go, no. And then this morning, do you want to cancel your alarm for every weekday? I'm like, yes. So I don't have to have it go off at 5:15 every morning, even though I'll be up.
I just can't believe you go to bed at 9 p.m. God, your time.
Because I get up at like 4 o'clock, 4:30.
So you still go to bed at 10 or 11.
I go to bed. I didn't say I go to sleep. I go to bed and I read books. Not Dune, as it turns out, but Omnipotent Dune, the book came first. Yuri, Sean, I've heard about your troubles. I absolutely can relate. I'm in the process of moving. Now, Yuri, forgive me if I'm wrong, and if it's none of my business, but like, isn't this like the second or third time you've moved in like, I don't know, a year or 6 months? I'm sure a while ago you were saying the same thing, that you were like having to pack up books and move your library or something. That's terrible. I can't imagine if you have to do it so often. Bill, when everyone was doing their reread videos, Dune was the only book that qualifies for me. So I would have had a 1-book list if I was to do that video. So Dune's the only book you've reread? Huh. God, I think Dune is closer to Game of Thrones and Star Wars. Different factions plotting against each other. So yeah, there we go. Mark, you really should read Dune. The new Dune movie made me rant like a loon. Oh, thanks, Cheryl. Yeah, well, I am and I'm not. I mean, the big thing is actually being able to spend time with Elvis and spend time with you guys because I get the opportunity to make more videos and also read books. But I also do kind of miss. I do really love my job and I love my colleagues and friends and but then to be honest, I do see a lot of them during the holidays anyway. We go for coffee and stuff, so it's not too bad. And with the house building, I should probably go back, but then I found out today nothing's going to happen in July, pretty much, apart from a bit of like waterproofing, nothing. So the only time there's going to start with some actual bricks will be mid-August, in which case I'll be almost back at school anyway. So I suppose in some ways that's good. I don't have to go back and visit every week.
What's the schedule for completion? At this point?
I mean, they say 9 months, but I'm not holding my breath, right? I mean, they've only given me up to the next stage, which is supposed to start in mid-August. So, they're supposed to pay me. They're supposed to pay me a penalty for each day or each week that it's not finished, commencing something like 23rd of March. But there's no way. And then I'm sure I'm going to have to battle, because the problem is they'll have me over a barrel, because I can argue that they owe me, as per the contract, to pay me a penalty for not completing, but then they can just say, well, we just won't complete. So I'm a bit, sometimes things can be a bit more different here, and you have to really, like, one of the big problems is there's like a shortage of skilled people, so they pick and choose the work. So it's very hard to be like, overbearing to them, because they could just turn around and say, well, we don't need this headache, so find somebody else to do it. So it's not a good time to be a customer when you rely on people who have handy skills. Yeah. I'm sure Steve will probably back me up. I'm guessing it's similar in America. It doesn't seem to be enough like skilled people around. Everybody's a computer person, or everybody's working in offices or shops, and there's hardly anybody who actually can do anything practical with their hands anymore, kind of thing. Gerda, I can see. Alexis says, Gerda, yes, I can see that connection. Oh, you are moving again. Okay, I thought I was imagining it. Well, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. It's the only book you've read more than 4 times. Okay. Downloading or downsizing your portable library every time. That's got to be tough. Well, Alexis, you're not going to get it because nothing's going to happen until mid-August. But then I might just come on and talk about it, or maybe I'll just do some videos related to the Czech Republic. So we'll see. As someone who reads digitally, how do you decide what to keep and what to get rid of when moving? Well, yeah, that's an interesting thing, and you could probably make a video on that, Sean. As long as you have an eye patch. Spaminator's late to this, but whoever hasn't read Dune needs to read Dune. All right. And I have a problem because I keep saying Dune, but it's Dune, isn't it? Or Dune? Is it Dune or Dune? Dune.
I say Dune. I say Dune.
Dune. Dune. Dude. You don't say Jude though for dude. Dune. Yeah. I'm sure Steve's sitting there, if he's still listening, going, oh, the bloody English accents again with their schedules. And so there we have it. I think it's probably time to call it a night at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. for you. Any plans for this evening, Sean? Are you going to start packing?
I don't have the proper boxes yet. It's like I've got these bigger ones, but I'm waiting for tape. I don't have any tape to tape them up. It's supposed to be here, but nobody's come. Somebody has sent me another. Like I did have some boxes on my wish list, and they're too big. But well, they're too big. What I should say is they're too big for hardcover book, but they'll be good for other things. But I've ordered a small number of ones that I think will be perfect. They'll be here Monday or Tuesday, preferably Monday, because I got to go look at the storage unit on Tuesday. But anyway, so and then I'll reorder a huge number and then start packing.
It's pronounced Yoon or Yumi. or June. Jimmy. Doesn't help me, Geocraftsman. I'm living now in a country where the J is pronounced Y, so it's Yoon. I don't know now. Aaron says Dune is the Scottish version. The other Aaron says, imagine marking 50th. Oh, no, I hope not. With two kings arguing with the grandson of the head contractor over when the house would be completed. Oh, geez. Spamina, you just pronounce Dune however you want to, you wacky foreigner. Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. Well, everybody, thank you so much, and even I would thank you again for your support for Shawn, and also remind you again that there is his GoFundMe at the bottom of this video if you should be interested, of course, to donate and help a fellow out. Jenny says, I can't get anyone's wish list to work anymore. He keeps trying to send it to my house for some reason.
Oh, weird. Yeah, well, I've taken off the boxes because I don't need a huge number of boxes. I've taken off all the books. That's the thing, too, because at this point, I don't need any more books when I got to move everything. So, yeah, I'm waiting. I'm buying these off of eBay, these boxes, in the hopes that they will be good, because there's a site that I was given, but they're twice as expensive. So,
well, I don't know if it's Shawn's you're trying to access, then it should be okay. I think if it's mine, you'd have to change the country probably, because I think you have to go through Amazon Germany, I think, if that's right. But then I thought that would show in it, because I had the same thing with you, Shawn, didn't I? When I went to buy you something for your birthday, I kept saying it was trying to send it to me until I actually went to the right place. I don't know.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that difficult, because it's like Amazon shooting themselves in the foot, because people will see it and get frustrated and just say, screw it, I'm not going to buy anything.
But just in case, Jenny, if it is perhaps mine you're looking at, then don't worry about it. Don't send me anything. Send it to Shawn instead. Send him something. He needs it. That's my birthday wish. So Cheryl, enjoyable chat. Good night, all. Good night to you, Cheryl. Nice to have you along. Who have we got here? Jenny, could you possibly mail that wish list you mentioned? Oh, it was yours anyway, Shawn, so it doesn't matter. Oh no, it's Yuri. Hang on, that's confusing me now. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I don't have Shawn's wish list in the comments because you removed it from your last couple of videos.
Yeah, the only thing that I have is just tape on there at the moment, just packing tape. And I've ordered a roll for that. But yeah, that's all I have there at the moment, because the only thing that I think that I need off there is tape and boxes. But I can't seem to find the right size of boxes on Amazon. I found them on eBay a lot cheaper than everywhere else. But I'm not ordering a huge amount, because I'm just going to order a few to see if they are actually real of what they say.
We have Bash X1. Good day, Governor. I'm not sure who Bash X1 is. I get the feeling maybe it's someone we know, but the moniker isn't familiar.
One of your students?
I don't know. None of them would use Governor. So I don't know. Nancy, Shawn, can you get free boxes from Gumtree? I don't know. Do we use Gumtree much in the UK?
It's around, yeah, but free. I'm not sure how to get free boxes unless somebody's giving stuff away. But you see, the thing is, when you're moving books, you can't have too big of boxes because they're too heavy. You want sort of the right size. And if you're stacking them and storing them, you need the same size of boxes for almost everything. Because otherwise, like I've moved tens of thousands of books and probably thousands and thousands of boxes and stored them. And when you use different sizes of boxes, you're screwed. When you stack stuff up, they fall over or they hurt the books, and there's all sorts of problems. And it's more expensive. And then, like in here, the grocery stores like Tesco and everything like that, here anyway, you can't get anything from them because they crush them all down in a machine and out back, and they sell them a penny a ton or something like that. You can go to news agents and corner stores, but most of them you get like a crisp box. It's so thin. It's like, just a bit thicker than a cereal box. And I got a dozen one time when I moved, but I had to go, I think, about eight shops to get a dozen boxes. And
you need
I
300.
What?
And you need
300. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And in Canada, it was great. You go to the liquor store, and wine boxes were fabulous. You could get wine boxes or whiskey boxes, and they'd be perfect for books. And they're thick, they're strong, and again, they're all the same size, so they'd be good.
I'm just trying to see if I can imagine Sean diving behind the back of Waterstones or W.H. Smith's looking for boxes, for book boxes. Yeah. J. Scott Phillips, time for lunch in California. Thanks for the chat. Well, you're most welcome. Glad we could take you through from the morning to lunchtime.
And thank you as well.
Thank me?
No, J. Scott. I would never thank you.
Yeah, no, of course not. So, I don't know. Being coy, whoever Bash X1 is, I don't know. So, of course, yes, I know who it is. How are you? You got back okay? That's nice. What time is it? I guess it's like 5 hours back. So, yeah. It's a friend of mine from here who's actually getting married soon, and he's gone back to his homeland. Well, I mean, it's not a big secret. He lives his homeland area is the Azores. So yeah, I guess he's popping in. You've only been back 2 hours? Oh, 2 hours back. Sorry, yeah. Okay, it's only 2 hours behind us. Okay, well that's all right then. Yeah, so it's not too bad. Well, Bash X1, good luck with the wedding. I'll message you soon anyway. Jenny, Yuri, I tried but kept booting my comments. I need to find another way. Well, maybe Jenny, just get Sean's address. Send him an email. So do it manually. Right, everybody, thank you all so very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Again, I'm sure I can obviously speak for Sean as well. We're wrapping up again. Thank you to everybody for everything. And of course, he will keep you updated as to the situation. And
yes.
all help is appreciated. It doesn't, of course, just have to be financial, although that is helpful. Any practical help, any help on if you know of any places that might be available for rent in your local areas within the UK, or if you have the option to maybe come and help him, physically help him with packing up the books and that kind of stuff. I don't know, anything else, Sean? Anything like help with any government initiatives or all this kind of stuff, really, isn't it?
Well, I know where to contact for that, but I'm not holding my breath for any of the government stuff. And as I said at the beginning of the stream, I didn't bother today to contact any. It's Friday. I'm not going to be able to get in touch with anybody, but I will. And the other thing is too, it's like somebody mentioned about, or I can't remember who it was, but that there's volunteer agencies, and somebody says about churches and stuff, and yeah, there are, but sometimes you have to try to find out who they are, and so somebody is is asking somebody else that lives near here that if they know of anything specific, because a lot of times you just like if it's a volunteer agency, how do you find out about it unless it's word of mouth, you know? So, and somebody with a van, but I think that's being sorted. But it's like how much time do they have, and with a smaller van, how many trips it's going to be. It's like how much time can one person or a couple people spend doing this. So I might need multiple days or multiple people to move it. I definitely can't carry everything downstairs now. That's just not possible.
Well, and you
With my
said
health.
there are also possible incentives as well if people help. That should they absolutely want a book or two, they can take them, right? Well, within reason, one or two.
Yeah. Well,
like one or two that I want wouldn't be available.
Probably not. But if you wanted to come over and stay for 2 weeks and do something, we can talk.
Can I bring Elvis?
Why not? No one else lives here hardly at all anymore.
I mean, that is one thing that's really surprising is how quickly your place is emptying out. Like you guys found out 2 days ago?
Well, the other person found out earlier that was living above me.
Right.
And he moved, and the other ones were only sort of temporary here downstairs.
Okay.
So, and I think that was going to happen anyway. So
it's kind of a shame that you can't actually just stay there and just shuffle from one room to another while they read. They renovate this one, you move to that room. They renovate that one, you move to that room until eventually.
There's only 2 rooms that could fit because there's 2 large rooms, and I've got one of them, and there's one above me on the third floor in my mind, but second floor in the UK and Europe. And I showed you pictures of how that person left. These were supposedly furnished rooms, but I said I didn't need any furnishings. And that person just destroyed everything. The clothes, things, wardrobes, everything. They just destroyed everything.
Right, so Alex says bye, guys, stay sane. Well, I don't know if we ever were to begin with, but thank you. Go to happy reading, everyone. Have a great weekend. Andrew, hello. Yes, we are just wrapping up. Shame you joined a bit late. We've been going 2 hours and 10 minutes or so. When will we stream again? Well, definitely Friday, I imagine. But as I'm on summer holidays, could be any time. There could be a couple of ninja streams, could be all sorts going on. So keep an eye out. Click that little notification bell. That might help.
Well, I'd love it if anybody that comes to help to to get on and do a live thing while we're doing this or with you, Mark. So
you could just you could let's live broadcast the actual packing.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah,
you could chat about. It would obviously draw out the process because you could pick up some books and talk about them as you did it. But we'll see. We've got to work something out to kind of raise your funds and see what we can do. So
yeah, but it's great that definitely the first stage is in the bag more or less. I still got to get the storage space, but that looks like that's in the bag, and I just need to go there, fill out forms, and throw cash at them. Well, bank transfers, I suppose.
Bye, Nicole.
Bye.
Bye, Jenny. Said already. Bye, Alexis. Bye, Nancy. I think he'll start soon once he gets the boxes and the tape. So within the week.
Yeah, it'll be next week because I'll be getting a few boxes on Monday, hopefully, but then they're test boxes. I didn't want to order 100 boxes or something like that and find out they're crap. So,
all right, everyone, do take care. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you all very soon.
Bye.
Bye.